topic of this discussion is a practical BIM workflow for large-scale infrastructure projects in a pandemic situation. And we are using Lagos to Abidjan highway corridor as a case study. Okay, so already a citation has been made about me, which was good. My name is Digitaltransformation. I'm the Managing Director of Buildsafe Nigeria Limited. I'm the lead facilitator at Buildsafeacademy and the founder of BIM and Digital Construction Week. And as mentioned, I have over 21 years of discussion today. We'll be looking at ways to facilitate road construction, road infrastructure projects using a BIM process. And we'll be looking at the road project from Lagos to Abidjan, passing through Cotonou, Togo, Lomé, Accra, and then getting to Abidjan. Now, the emphasis here is using a method that you can use you can stay in your office and acquire data that you can use to do, preliminary, the planning, really getting to sites. And after the pandemic that has hit the whole world. So we'll be exploring that. Now, to bring the method into the form that everybody will understand it, I have a video that I would like us to look at. So what you are looking at, the software, I will get deep into it in the course of this discussion, but this is InfraWorks from Autodesk. Now you are looking at a map-based solution, and the map you are looking at is captured around Makurdi in Benue State. And the objective is to create an alternative bridge that I will call Second Benue Bridge in Makurdi. So I pulled this from a presentation I made to Nigerian Army. I used their environment, Nigerian Army Engineering School in Makurdi. I used their environment to bring home what we were presenting to them. So I pulled it to explain this process in a way that we all will understand. If you look very closely, you will see that I am working on a map. Anybody that understands Makurdi very well will know that the map captured virtually all the existing road infrastructure in Makurdi. The railway line that passed through, and the River Benue itself was also captured. And this was done. You will be seeing how the road was created and all the features that you need to put in the road. By the way, this video was not edited, it was not shortened in any way. So the length of time it took to prepare this was exactly what the length of time it takes. So just to give you an idea of the time and the speed of this process. So you see lines drawn from the starting point to an end point. This end point is Makurdi to Lafia Road highway is existing. So this software has captured the existing road infrastructure, and the new road that we are creating will tie to it seamlessly. Because it's coming at the same level, it's created a junction. Now you can do so many things with it. The profile that we peak has a street light and other features attached to it. So it comes automatically, and you can see areas where you need to do cut and areas where you need to do fill. You can calculate your cut and fill quantities. Where the railway came, where we have the railway, the elevation of railway is much higher than the elevation of the road. So the road passed under the railway. So you will see how we treated it. Now we are creating a bridge across River Benue. By a very simple process, you create a bridge that has engineering features. Even though it's not the final design, you will still take it to another software that to detailed design. But you can see how the bridge has been created. Now, remember, I didn't go to site. Nobody went to site to obtain any information, and the map associated with it. We were able to do all this. This can apply to in any part of the world, so long as you have a map of that place, which automatically comes with the software. So you have all the features, the piers, the abutment, and all the things that you need. This can be modified. The elevation can be changed. You can do a whole lot with it. As I mentioned, you have you can see the bridge, the railway, existing railway line. Now, because the road is coming under the railway, we are going to create a tunnel so that the railway will pass above it. And like I said, all that we have created, you can extract your quantities and check if, so if you do a number of options, and that is the beauty of this discussion, that you can do as many options as possible. That you can now do a quick check, do cost benefit analysis to know which route will serve best in that situation. So this is the software that we'll be looking at in the course of this discussion, particularly for our case study. So what is displayed here are basic quantities that you can pass to the quantity surveyors, and they will quickly give you, some preliminary costing that will give you, that will let you know if the option that you have chosen is economical. So moving on, I said this is a BIM workflow. So it is important for us to understand what BIM is. BIM is an acronym for Building Information Modeling. Building Information Modeling, BIM, is a process that encompasses all aspects, disciplines, and systems of a facility within a single visual model that allows all stakeholders to collaborate more accurately and efficiently than traditional process. As you will get to see in this discussion, if you are implementing BIM, there is always collaboration with all stakeholders, irrespective of your background, irrespective of your qualification. So there are features in BIM that will enable everybody to make his input at every stage of the project. So by the way, BIM process starts from the conceptual stage and runs throughout the lifespan of the project. So it goes into the construction stage, the post-construction stage, even at the expiry of the lifespan of the project. If you need to decommission it or to demolish it, as the case may be, BIM can be applied, because you have the model has all the information regarding that project. So we carry on. I made emphasis on stakeholders' participation. For the case study that we'll be looking at, I will imagine that the stakeholders will be African Development Bank as the financiers. You will have ECOWAS, you will have the customs from different countries, you have the immigration, road safety, the design engineers, and the consulting team, the quantity surveyor, contractors, affected community, and even the federal government of the various countries. You can expand this list. Whoever is the stakeholder on this project will have opportunity to participate, make their input at the right time. We all know that stakeholder management is a very important aspect of project management. If you overlook any stakeholder, when they realize what you are doing and come to ask questions, some of the questions may take you back to the drawing board to start all over again. And that can cost a lot. It will always lead to cost overrun. But BIM makes it possible for you to carry all stakeholders along. So we can also explain BIM using the building life cycle or project life cycle, that you have the design phase, the execution phase, and the operational phase. All will revolve around BIM. Now, for us to appreciate what BIM is, very well, let's look at some of the benefits of BIM. In BIM, you deal with 3D models as against 2D drawings that you manage in the traditional method. Even though this has brought some misunderstanding in some ways, that when somebody is doing 3D modeling, he will assume he's doing BIM. That is not very correct. But you cannot do BIM successfully without 3D modeling. That's how it is. So if you look at the image on your right, you will understand what is in the building. So if you are presenting this to a client, the client will have clear understanding. If by mistake you have provided a column in his bedroom, he's not going to allow it, because he will see it and ask you questions. Why do I have a column in my bedroom? I don't want it. And you can manage it better at the early stages. But if you don't, if you just leave it as a dot, in the case of 2D, if you are dealing with a non-technical client who does not understand what those lines and the information you have in the drawings represent, he will come to site when you have finished the construction and tell you that he doesn't want this. And at that point, there's nothing you can do than to start to manage it. And that will lead to delay and also cost overrun. Then the next point is in BIM, you will be managing intelligent objects instead of non-intelligent lines that you use to create images or objects in the 2D or in the traditional method. So 3D intelligent object, I mean, for instance, you want to put a door or a window in a model. You drop it as a door. You don't create it by lines or combination of lines. And what that means is, if you have a manufacturer's detail that you can source for a material from the manufacturer. Let's assume you want to use Legrand lighting fitting, and you know the part number, you know the reference. You can go to their website, put their model, and put it in your model. It will extract all information that is embedded in that model. All the features, the cost, the source, and all that. And that is what BIM is all about. And by the way, unlike in traditional methods where you can create a table with lines, and you delete the legs of the table and the top is still remaining. For intelligent object, once you remove any part of that element or object, it will disappear because you have dismembered it. But if you explode it, it's no more intelligent. So in BIM, you deal with intelligent objects. Then the speed of processing, the speed of design in BIM is very fast. I try to compare it with the 1960 Beetle, Volkswagen Beetle versus Ferrari. You know, you can't compare the speed of the two cars. And that is what you get, that speed. Another thing is in coordination. If you have a project that has so many professionals, mechanical, electrical, architect, and all other professionals, by the time everybody is bringing his own information, there is need for coordination. If you are doing that coordination with 2D drafting, 2D drawings, I promise you that even after your thorough job, you will still go to site and end up with clashes, arguments. The electrical requesting the structural to break, allow him to break his beams, and the structural resisting it. And this can cause delays on projects. In beam process, everything is clear, as shown on the image on the right. You will understand, you can see the HVAC and all the features associated with that building. If there is any clash, there are tools you can use to run clash detection, and you will detect them, inform the people that are responsible to adjust them before you go to site. That saves a whole lot of time. That is about coordination. How about collaboration? What happens in a non-BIM process is that architects will finish their design in silo. That means they are working exclusively in their own space. When they finish, they send it to other professionals to start their own. And they create their own, roll it back to the architect to coordinate. And you know all the issues that we face. In BIM process, you collaborate real time. Real time in the sense that while the when the architect finishes modeling, other professionals can come in and start to work on the same model. So because you're working on the same model, there is less likelihood that you will make a mistake or you will do something that is outside what the architect has created. So the point here is that you have one single source of truth. Only one model will be created. From the beginning of the project to the end of the project, at no time will another model be created by anybody, single model. But that does not mean you will not have modifications. You can have modification and changes, but for every modification, you'll be working with the latest version of that model. And that is the single model that will be available for all the professionals to use. That is collaboration. And more so if you have a 10-story building and you have 10 architects to one floor, and all of them can attack it and finish it, as early as possible, collaboratively. Then there is this important part, which is the ability to adopt modern technology. Now we take measurements using laser scanners and drones. We view models before you print a sample of what you have modeled using 3D printers. All this can be integrated in is what we know, where you use tape and measure and now start redrawing and starting all over again to create new drawing at all times. Then the beauty of BIM is that you have information. not just having information. This information is available for all that needs it to see as needed. Anytime you need it, it is there. It's not like you have some files of drawing in your archive and you will spend 2 days trying to sift through your store and see one information. In BIM model, everything is embedded in that model. So whatever you need, you will find it is available. Then with all that I have said, you know that there is less tendency to have cost overrun. You should be talking about cost savings. So in BIM, you are not bothered about cost overrun. You are looking at how much savings you are able to make. And if you're able to make savings, definitely the client will be your friend. But if you have cost overrun, the client will be your enemy. He would not want to see you. He will always complain that you misled him and all that. So those are the benefits. And I'm sure with all the benefits I have highlighted, we now understand why BIM is important. Now, let's look at the question now is that if BIM has all these benefits, why is this still backward? Why are we still backward in Nigeria? We've identified some of the problems that we can attribute to be the cause. Number one of them is most Nigerian higher institutions are still using the traditional ways of drafting. Most of them don't even use computer-aided drafting. I'm not talking about 3D modeling now. I'm talking about the regular AutoCAD in 2D. So without that, without changing that in the curriculum of the universities, it will be a far distance to adopt BIM, nationwide. Then you have this problem of learning at old age. I don't know about others. Somebody like me, I have a lot of challenges. So it is a burden trying to learn new things. Once you have left school, your focus will change. You want to get money and solve problems. So what time do you have to start learning new things? So it's a challenge. Another one is the passive. I highlighted passive because it's really not a huge, the cost is not as huge as we interpret it to be. So it's a setback for BIM implementation. Then one other big problem is that if people get the huge jobs without implementing BIM, what is the motivation? Why should they go into learning BIM if it doesn't really make you get the big jobs? So there is low patronage on account of BIM adoption. Then there is no national BIM mandate. If the federal government can put a law that if you are not implementing BIM, you will not get a certain a job of beyond a certain threshold, nobody will bother himself. We just talk about it and it stops there. Then there is this natural resistance to accept change. Naturally, human beings will prefer to continue with what is working for them. So when you want them to change it, they will see it as a disturbance or distraction. So that is why, with all the noise, with all the awareness that has been created in the past few years, BIM is still backward in Nigeria. I pray something happens. I pray it changes so that we all can see the benefit of BIM. Now we are going into very serious discussions, and I would like to emphasize that all the digital construction solutions that are in town are not for special people. They are for you, they are for me, they are for everybody, they are for use. And the thing is that we have to condition our mind to preach against piracy. Piracy causes a problem, a big one for that matter. you can buy AutoCAD for 5,000 naira from a computer village and you are using it. But the truth is that you are using less than 1% of the functionality of AutoCAD. And as such, you will maximize the benefit. If you invest in a licensed software, let's say from Autodesk, as a matter of fact, from any developer, that developer will make sure that you get the latest information, you get everything that is important about that software, including support. So when you are getting support, no matter the kind of problem you are handling, you will never fail in delivering it, no matter how big it looks. So for somebody, most of us know AutoCAD, but most people do not know Autodesk. Simply, what it means is that you have not related well to Autodesk. This applies to any other developer. It's not only Autodesk. It's a common problem here, and it's something that we all need to try to fight against in every opportunity we have. Now, getting into serious discussion about the topic of the day. What does it take to implement BIM? What it takes to implement BIM, for you to truly know that you are doing BIM, you need two things. One is what is called common data environment, and the other ones are the authoring tools. Common data environment is a platform that will allow every stakeholder to access, view, and contribute by commenting, view the project model without necessarily having the software that created it. For instance, if you receive a file that was created with AutoCAD, you will not be able to open it unless you have AutoCAD. But if you have, or you are operating, you have a common data environment, you can open those files browser, the regular internet browser, the Chrome, the Explorer, the Firefox, and all those browsers. Now, the difference it makes is that the stakeholder, the client, for instance, who is a businessman who doesn't have time for your thing, can use his phone because he has a browser there, open his project, look at the progress of work, view things, review it, make comments, and the people that are handling it will receive his comment and take action as required. You don't need to print the drawings for him. He sees it. He sees everything in that model, just from the comfort of his phone. That is common data environment. If it is missing, something is missing in your BIM implementation. Autodesk provided that platform, and it's called Autodesk BIM Collaborate Pro. There is BIM Collaborate, and there is a number of others that I will mention in the course of this discussion. Now, what I have on the right are authoring tools. There are so many of them. I just selected some. And the beauty of it is that every professional, whether you're an architect, a civil engineer, electrical, mechanical, there is something you need for your work that is embedded in this. So you choose what is appropriate for you. Since this discussion is for civil engineering, road construction, we will now limit it to things that are related to us. This is collaborative BIM, showing that all the authoring tools will supply data and take data from the BIM collaborative platform, which is the common data environment. You still model with your Revit, with your advanced steel, but you post it, you upload it on the BIM platform so that other people, other stakeholders can access and view it. So that is the collaborative platform. Now for our case study, we have reduced the number of authoring tools, and we have left things that will be relevant to this discussion, which is Autodesk Civil 3D, Autodesk InfraWorks, Autodesk Recap Pro, Autodesk Structural Bridge Design, and Navisworks. Now, InfraWorks was the software that we used in the video that I played before. You use it for preliminary designs, after which you take it to Civil 3D to do detailing and final design. Then Recap Pro, I will discuss it when I get to the point where it will be clearer. Now, the bridge that was designed in InfraWorks can be taken to structural bridge design for detailed changes. Then Navisworks is a very powerful tool that you can use to extract all the quantities in a model, and you can also use it for project management, for clash detection, and for presentation purposes and all that. So what it takes for BIM to work. You may desire to implement BIM and you still have challenges. Now for an organization now to implement BIM, you need the top management approval. Top management decision is key. But it's not only top management, because they can only give the authorization to implement BIM. But you need the bottom management, which are the people that create all this data or the information that you'll be managing. You need their willingness to key into BIM implementation. So the two really has to come seamlessly, and for you to achieve or implement BIM. So I have said before, without data, you cannot implement BIM. So let's discuss some sources of data for BIM implementation. One huge source of data is the internet. From the internet, you can pull data from different sources, some GIS platforms, and from the manufacturers of equipment, manufacturers of some products that have created models. You can go and download and use it in your modeling. Then you have the GIS, but both and GIS sources may not be the time this data were acquired. So for you to have up-to-date data, you need to deploy things like drones or 3D laser scanners to go to site, acquire current up-to-date information that you can now use to replace whatever you have used for your preliminary design. Co-host, I think you may have to help mute some people so that we won't have.
I am doing that, sir.
Okay, thank you.
I am doing that as I am looking at the presentation.
Okay, sir. So I want us to look at some of the data sources, this time around using drones. Drone is a photogrammetric tool. First of all, data acquisition by some of these gadgets is called Realitycapture. An example of Realitycapture equipment is drone. Drone is it uses collection of photographs that can be processed into point cloud. From the point cloud, you can get every engineering or geometric data that you need. So what you are looking at here is a drone that was that we flew somewhere, we acquired data, and all the data were processed to give you, okay, these are, the raw data, just normal, looks like normal pictures, but it's the georeference. And when you process it, it will be integrated into a 3D model, something like this. It will be like a map. And every information you need geometrically will be embedded in it. So we are still using Autodesk solutions. Here we use Recap. I mentioned it before. Recap Pro is a tool that you can use to process drone data. By the way, it is the same drone that photographers are using, the one they use to cover events. You can deploy it on your project, use Recap Pro, Autodesk Recap Pro, to process it for engineering use. So that's what you are looking at. Now, the data you have processed can be georeferenced. So there are two images here. The one on your left is InfraWorks data. Remember what we did in Benue. We first of all cut out an area that we used for our project. What you have on the left is similar. But this time around, we cut this thing out from a place in Imo State. And what you have on your right is the drone data that has been processed and superimposed on the InfraWorks surface. Now if you look at it, it is shown in a slightly different color. So what you have here now is as existing as at the time the drone was flown. So with this, you will do everything that you need to do, cut your sections, your profiles, and all that. Anybody that have somebody from Imo State, you have the Imo River on your right, and there is a place called Itu Junction on your on your right is Imo River and the left is Itu Junction. Now, if you process it, you can take it into Savo 3D to cut profiles to do. You will do all that, all the necessary engineering designs that you need to do. You have your data to do it. The other tool is 3D laser scanner. What you are looking at is a city map, or what we call city mapping, that was done in Lagos, Bodetomos and Eric Moore. It was extracted from Eric Moore and then Bodetomos. So with this, you have all the information you need as far as that project site is concerned. For reality capture, when you process it, the beauty is that you are seeing everything in 3D. You are seeing every information in 3D. You can see the image at your lower right, where we're able to take determine the height of the cable on the high tension cable from the ground. So, and we are doing this without climbing, without stressing ourselves. Just position your laser scanner and it acquires this image. Now, these are some of the things you need to do for your final design to validate the information that you have used in preliminary design. This is another site, is erosion, a gully erosion site. What you have on your left is the plan, and you cut sections to show that were shown on your right. So now, I've talked so much about BIM, but why is it that most people that started BIM leave it midway? They hardly get to the end, they hardly implement it. And every year you're talking about BIM. So we've identified some of the problems that we call pitfalls. And number one of them is trying to know the end from the beginning. BIM is as large as technology. Just like you are discussing technology, you want to know what technology is. You will discuss endlessly still without getting to the end. So there is no point trying to know the end of BIM. What you do is to start from where you are. It doesn't matter where you are. There is always a way, a roadmap for you, irrespective of your level. And then don't try to be someone else. Some people are still using board to do drawing, while some are still using computer. If you're using board, don't jump like somebody who is using computer already. So there is a roadmap that's appropriate for you. Another pitfall is trying to learn everything. I have shown so many software. If you want to learn all of them before you start BIM implementation, is a lie. You will not start. The other big one is trying to teach the wrong person. If you come to an organization, you have different category of workers. You have the MD, you have the top managers that are busy with so many things. You want to teach them BIM, you want to teach them the tools, you want to bring everybody into one room and start. You are wasting your time. So what you do is to create what works for everyone. The beauty is that there is something for everybody. When, as long as a BIM is concerned, you have the people that create the content, designers. Those are the people that should learn the authoring tools. You have the manager who review and approve. Can use the BIM to review and to approve. So if you do it that way, you will see that everybody will be busy without wasting time. And for the top managers who are busy, Autodesk made it very easy for them to use their hand phones while they are in their car. They can review a project before they get to the office. You want something changed, you will highlight it and make a note, send it as email for the appropriate person to look at it and attend to it. So you don't need to travel back from America to the office because you need to give approval to something. So another pitfall is procrastination. Probably you are thinking, when is the appropriate time to start? The appropriate time to start is now. Like I have said, it does not matter where you are. Just take that decision you want to implement BIM, and you will see where you will get to before you know it. So if we can avoid all these pitfalls, I'm sure BIM implementation will be smoother than it has been in the past. So now, for us in Buildsafe, I mentioned that I am the lead facilitator at Buildsafe-Academy. What Buildsafe-Academy does is to guide people on BIM implementation, organizations, not individuals, organizations, because organizations, you have to be an organization for you to really implement BIM. So the simple thing we do is to review your process, then look at a proposal that will help, that will be suitable for you. You pick a pilot project that you will use to learn BIM while you are executing that same project, after which we review the training outcome and be sure that you got all that you need to get. If there are gaps, we work and close it. It's as simple as that. Now, the big question, is BIM expensive? So BIM falls under digital solutions, whether it's laser scanners or any of those things that I have mentioned. The question is that, are they expensive? And my answer comes in this way. If you want to spend what you are spending, you know, the few naira you are spending, you will be doing projects But the category of project will probably be of some of the things that you have above. But if you are spending a little more to invest in this, you'll be doing the category of projects that you have below. Now, for me, if I should spend more and do the category of projects that I have below, I will jump into it. So the advice, my advice is, do not bring cost when you want to look at BIM adoption. I'm sure if it is cost, an organization like Buildsafe will not even bother thinking about it. So it's not about cost. It's about personal decision and remaining focused to know what you want and going for it. So I don't know if I answered whether it is expensive or not, but I'm sure that that will make some sense. Now, let's now treat our case study. The image you are looking at is the regular Google Earth image. Simply we traced a route. I have not gone through the route, but we traced the route just to show you what you can do without necessarily going to site. So we have traced 2 possible routes that you can use to get from Lagos to Abidjan. Now, is this project too big for us to do? Can we do it? And I'm saying yes, you can do it. Using BIM is a possibility. We know the stages of road construction projects. You have the planning, you have the preliminary design, the final design, right-of-way establishment, and the construction. And we all have witnessed the challenges that COVID-19 brought. So COVID-19 started with fear and panic. Nobody knew what was happening. We entered travel restriction, total lockdown, social distancing, partial lifting. Now we ended up with managing COVID-19 travel protocol management, and still there are uncertainties. Now, anything that will discourage traveling will be appreciated by any profession. So we will be looking at the considerations we are looking at in selecting the suitable workflow for a project as massive as the one we have chosen. Are some of the things we highlighted here. Number 1 is the ability to plan and carry out preliminary designs without going to site. Number 2 is the ability to create and review as many routes as possible. From the array of options, you will look at the most economically viable option and select it for final still without going to site. And number 3, holders via a collaborator to avoid traveling and crowded meetings. And the last one will be when there is need to go to site, like in the right-of-way establishment and construction, it should require few number of persons to make it possible to comply to COVID-19 protocols. So those are things, any workflow that meets these conditions will be a good workflow to adopt. So we have now broken the stages of construction into groups. For planning and preliminary design, we will be adopting InfraWorks. I have demonstrated how InfraWorks works and what makes it special and unique. Now, if I'm able to pick all the existing road infrastructure without going to site, I'll be able to do a lot. I will plan my intersections, interchanges, whatever I need to do, I will do it without going to site. I can do my preliminary design as I demonstrated with the Makurdi example without going to site. When the stakeholders have picked the one that they feel is most beneficial, whether cost-wise or functionality or whatever consideration that they use, I will now plan for validation. I will plan for validation. And the method I will adopt is what is called city mapping. Because of the length of this facility, this infrastructure, we will be deploying an airplane, a you mount and fly through the route. It's just the pilot and maybe one assistant gives you very accurate data that you will now bring into InfraWorks to replace, similar to what we did in Imo State. So you now go through your design again and see if anything will jot out, if you need to fix something, with that data. Then I will take it to Civil 3D, where I will do all the necessary checks and detailed design, do my cut and fill, and all the necessary things that you do as an engineer handling road construction. By the way, you will be following all the relevant codes. Then the next one will be when all the approvals have been gotten, you are moving to site. I mentioned that you need to deploy an array of digital number of facilities or solutions that you can adopt. Now, if you are using a grader, you can install some machine control that will enable you grade faster, more accurately. Whatever equipment you are using, there is an appropriate machine control that you can adopt to enable you shorten the length of time it takes you to deliver the project. So this will be my workflow. Now, the map I'm showing here is, like I said, that this road is from Lagos to Abidjan. Abidjan is in Côte d'Ivoire. Now, we have used InfraWorks to capture the map of an area we feel that this road will connect to. I've not gone to Abidjan before. Whoever that knows Abidjan will agree with me that this map captured all the existing road infrastructure, railway, water bodies, and all you have in Abidjan. So if I'm connecting to an existing infrastructure, it is important that I do some analysis and study to know the impact of the new design on the existing infrastructure so that you don't have bottleneck. We will explain that better from our own end. We are very familiar with Ijora. I think we call this Ijora. If you are coming from Orile to go to National Theatre, where the road coming from Costain going to Apapa crosses that road where you are coming. If you are in Lagos, you will be familiar with this place, and there is some kind of confusion that you normally have on top of that bridge. Imagine an articulated vehicle trying to turn back, coming from Orile, to turn back to go back to Orile. You need to go so many turns, move forward and backward and all that before you can turn on that bridge. Now, is that a place you want this road, a major regional road, to come and connect? So if I am doing this road, this is the first thing I will do. I will look at it and study it to now know and take a decision about what needs to be done, and you will do it so that you don't finish the road and now come and face a major challenge of heavy traffic. So we've highlighted the important areas. You have the road coming from Eric Moore, connecting to it. You have the road from I2. You have from Costain going to Apapa, and then National Theatre on the other side. Now, the beauty of this workflow is that you will be able to see this even before you go to site to do survey. And having looked at that, this is showing it in 3 dimensions. Now, what I will do as part of the process will be to redesign that junction or interchange, to redesign it to a more efficient interchange. So you are doing this still without going to site. So here we have demolished the existing road infrastructure. That means we have removed them from the drawing or from the model. And this is what we came up with. So if you take your time to look at it, you will see that all the vehicles can go seamlessly without distance. So we are still within InfraWorks environment. Now, if you do this and review it with all the stakeholders, you are reviewing it because it's going to impact on so many things. And even without going to site, you would have seen all the things that will be affected. And you can do some analysis to understand what the cost impact will be. So if all the stakeholders review it and agree that this is what needs to be done, when you now do your data capturing on site, you will get the correct information. And if anything is omitted, if anything is not shown properly, you will obtain that and then sort it out in your final design. So with what the 2 instances that I have shown, both from the Lagos end and the Abidjan end, you can do this throughout the entire route. Where you have water body, you provide a bridge to cross it. So some of the things you will be doing will be to know the number of bridges, the number of culverts that you will have in a particular, for every route that you have picked, or you have tried, or you have proposed. And from there, you can determine the cost of each of the options and make the best decision. So this that you have the bridges and how all the roads connect with one another. Once you are done with this, you can move it into Civil 3D for your detailed design. Now I have a simple animation showing how it's just representative, showing how the traffic will move by the time you finish your design, And I'm sure if we have this kind of it's something that everyone will really appreciate. So we carry on. Now, to summarize what I think and preliminary design, I will use InfraWorks to create many options as possible. That will be done in the office. I can generate preliminary cost estimates for the stakeholders to also see the cost implication of each of the options that we have considered. Then we will review and secure approval of relevant stakeholders using the BIM collaborative platform. Once that is approved, I will move to final design. I will deploy city mapping survey technique to validate data along. Then we use Civil 3D for quantities and costing. Then we'll review all this and secure approval from relevant stakeholders using the same BIM platform. Then for construction, we will establish right-of-way, and the construction will adopt different digital machine control solutions. And the project management will also be done using appropriate BIM platform. An example of them is Autodesk Build, a virtual platform which will help coordinate all communications and what have you. So this is what I have planned and I have presented. I know there may be questions, there may be further discussions after this presentation. So we have presented our contacts if somebody needs to contact us, but we'll be, I'll be relaxing a bit to take questions from anybody that has a question. Thank you, thank you, thank you very much.